Media bias can be seen more and more these days, especially over the last 12 months. Just like knowing how to be woke as or questioning whether still listening to Elvis makes you a bit of a racist for endorsing cultural appropriation. It's hard to know how much media bias is influencing the news you're receiving and what to take in, especially when you're bombarded with so much information. Just like this gif of a girl being spoiled for choice at a dinner party. Media bias basically means that media outlets sit somewhere on a political spectrum, questioning the objectivity of the press. And this can heavily influence how we perceive the world, reinforcing ideas that we already have in our very own social media echo chamber, which sounds like a really bad Harry Potter sequel. It's not all bad news though. Media bias can help you see two sides of the same story and help you better discuss issues which matter to you, rather than react and do something hot-headed like, I don't know, storm the capital of your own country based on lies. But anyway, so unlike Elvis, I'm asking for a lot more conversation and a little less action. So in this episode, I want to talk about something that's been a hot topic lately, and pick apart some of the media bias around it and the political implications.
But I have determined that the People's Republic of China, under the direction and control of the Chinese Communist Party, has committed genocide and crimes against the predominantly Muslim Uyghurs and other ethnic and religious minority groups.
On his way out of the door, former US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo declared that China was committing genocide to the Uyghur ethnic minority in Xinjiang, setting off a chain reaction that's been difficult for world leaders to ignore. It's kind of like playing pass the parcel, but before you pass the parcel, you put a turd inside, you set fire to the turd, and then you pass it on, hoping that somebody else will deal with it when it comes back around. And if you're the one receiving the parcel, well, you've got two options, haven't you? You can either pass it on, or you can deal with it and put it out. Either way, you're dealing with a lot of shit. So what could be fueling this fire? Responding to Pompeo, Chinese Foreign Ministry accused the Trump administration of staging a show of madness as their days at the reins are numbered. And after the last 12 months, it's hardly out of character. From denying the results of a fair election to concocting conspiracy theories without providing a shred of evidence in court, this could be another example of political theater, as outlined here.
The company counting our vote, with control over our vote, is owned by two Venezuelans who were allies of Chavez, are present allies of Maduro, with a company whose chairman is a close associate and business partner of George Soros, the biggest donor to the Democrat Party, the biggest donor to Antifa, and the biggest donor to Black Lives Matter.
Everybody's against us except President Trump.
Looking tough on China only helps the Republicans in the long run. China-US relations have been strained, to say the least, but there was a modicum of hope that Biden would turn down the temperature. But it's out of the window now, isn't it? Thanks to Pompeo. Way to go, guy. If things remain the same or get worse, then in a few years the GOP can turn around and say, look what happens when we're not in charge. And then boom, you've got Pompeo, you've got Trump, back in the Oval Office trying to reinstall the Coca-Cola button faster than you can say type 2 diabetes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Trump had a special button in the Oval Office so he could order Diet Coke anytime he liked. And I know you're thinking, why not just go full fat? Diet Coke was the perfect complement to my weight loss program. Said no one ever. So let's look at the chief source of the evidence presented. Adrian Zens, the freedom-fighting academic for hire. Adrian Zens is a far-right Christian fundamentalist who has spoken out against homosexuality and gender equality. In most reports from the Associated Press, the BBC, and CNN, Adrian Zens is the go-to expert on Xinjiang, despite never actually visiting the place. His data analysis cherry-picks information to fit a terrifying narrative. Take this article published in Al Jazeera News. The article claims that the Chinese government is purposely expanding pig farming to raise the amount of pork available to normalize eating it in Muslim communities, and thus eradicating Muslim culture and beliefs. The article reads, according to Zens, the documents and state-approved news articles support talk within Uyghur communities that there is an active effort to promote and expand pig farming in the region. But this isn't entirely true. After researching farming data from the region, pig farming isn't the only expansion. Sheep, cow, and chicken farming have all seen massive areas of growth, and this is part of the country's poverty alleviation program. But by focusing on just the pig farming, he's twisting data to get to a conclusion at which he's already arrived. I cannot stress enough just how scary things appear when a country, people, government, and culture are so very different from your own. TV reports of shaky video footage, security gates, and cameras can seem over the top and intimidating, but even my apartment has a security gate like this one, which was featured in a BBC report. So when you're scrolling on your phone, sat on the toilet, take a moment to question whether the media that you're consuming challenges your beliefs or does it align with them. Accusing China of genocide and taking a stance based on biased media reports without any appreciation of how integrated Xinjiang is and has been for years is careless, because all it does is creates this arguments of war mentality where one side is right and one side is wrong. And I'm well aware of the backlash that I could get following this video, but I'm willing to say it because there has to be a better way to communicate that's not so inflammatory, so we can all actually hear each other. So, thank you for listening.